Imagine being kidnapped by a sinister demon and living in a world full of scary creatures. To the 14-year-old Iruma Suzuki, this nightmare became reality. Will his life be better or worse? Stay with us till the end to find out. A 14-year-old kid, Iruma Suzuki, who had been unfortunate his whole life due to his irresponsible parents who made him work ever since he was a small boy to make some money despite being underage. As miserable as his life already is, it gets even worse when a whole load of tuna starts falling on him. He tries to dodge them all, but one is just about to hit his face when everything stops, and Iruma finds himself not on the boat but tied up and in front of a demon named Sullivan, who tags Iruma as sold and takes him away from Earth towards the Netherworld, the place where all the demons live. As Iruma is being taken by the demon, he asks him where they are going, and that's when Sullivan starts speaking the demonic language. However, since Iruma can't understand a word, Sullivan has to put him under a spell to make him understand that Iruma's parents have sold his soul to Sullivan, who is now taking him to the Netherworld. While Iruma struggles to believe what is happening to him, they reach Sullivan's mansion, and Iruma finds himself seated with Sullivan, who asks him to be his grandson. It has always been Sullivan's dream to have a grandchild, as his friends always talk about their grandkids and he does not have any. And as he tells him all this, Sullivan starts pleading with Iruma, who is the pushover guy who has never said no to anyone in his life. Whenever he is asked to do something, he will consent to anything and won't ever say no, especially if someone says please to him. That's one of the words he can never say no to. Of course, Sullivan said it, and the contract between Iruma and Sullivan as his grandpa was established. As soon as the contract is completed, Sullivan transforms the room into a lavish one and tells Iruma that his food, clothing, and education will be taken care of now that he is his grandson. Iruma learns that he will be going to a demon school and studying with other demon students. Despite his excitement about having a grandson, Sullivan also informs Iruma that he will be the first human to attend the demon school and probably won't get eaten as long as no one discovers his true identity. Before leaving Iruma in his new room, Sullivan pours a bucket full of perfume that will help him blend in with other demons and not stand out due to his human scent. After leaving Iruma, Sullivan meets his security demon, Opera, in the hallway. Opera asks him why he adopted a human instead of a demon without any problems. Sullivan simply tells him that he will understand someday, and then leaves. On the other hand, Iruma, who still can't believe he has his own room, falls asleep thinking about his life with all the demons in the Netherworld. The next morning, Iruma prepares for school and on his way, Sullivan, Opera, and Iruma make a stop to take some pictures with the entrance ceremony signboard. Then, they proceed towards the school. On his way, Iruma sees lots of demons flying towards the school, and he can't help but feel shocked. Sullivan and Opera leave him at the school gate, Babel's, and from there, Iruma is on his own, trying not to get eaten by any demon. Moments later, Iruma finds himself surrounded by huge demon kids who keep saying they smell something weird, making Iruma more nervous and scared. However, as he pays close attention to the students, he starts realizing that the school is just full of students who seem pretty normal, just like a human school. As the ceremony starts, everyone stands up and starts singing the school song, which is all about humans being demons' food. Next comes the greeting from the director, and that's when Iruma learns that the director of the school is none other than his own grandpa, Sullivan. As soon as Sullivan takes the stage, he can't stop talking about Iruma. Sullivan even shows the whole school the photo they took on their way to the ceremony, leaving the photo floating in the air. Later after his speech, Sullivan leaves the stage, and the new student representative, Asmodeus, is called upon after him. But before Asmodeus can reach the stage, news comes in that the new honor student Iruma will be giving a speech instead of Asmodeus. When Iruma reaches the stage, he finds himself confused and not knowing what to do. That's when the floating picture lands in front of him, and he sees text written on its backside. It is a message from Sullivan, so all Iruma has to do is read it aloud. However, as soon as he starts reading it, everyone gets shocked. It is after he's done that he realizes what he spoke were actually forbidden spells, and if he had stuttered or read them wrong, his body could have exploded. But then a teacher tells him that if someone pronounces them correctly, it will prevent him from tripping or falling all day. After the speech is over, Iruma comes off the stage but finds himself engaged in a duel with Asmodeus, who is angry because Iruma stole his spotlight on the very first day of school. Asmodeus is a strong demon with even more powerful abilities and strong attacking powers. Meanwhile, Iruma, considering his miserable life, is perfect at dodging everything and has flawless defense even when he can't attack. So, the duel starts with Asmodeus attacking repeatedly, and Iruma dodging each attack. For 20 straight minutes, Iruma manages to evade every single attack. His impressive evasion skills earn him compliments from the students, further infuriating Asmodeus, who believes Iruma is underestimating him by not using any powers. Moments later, Asmodeus launches another attack on Iruma, almost hitting a girl as Iruma dodges once more. However, before he can collide with the girl, Iruma catches him, attempts to stop, and due to the spell from speaking forbidden words, he ends up doing a German suplex, concluding the duel. Afterward, Iruma goes to Sullivan's office to tell him everything, and moments later Asmodeus enters the room too, asking Iruma to be his lord as he was defeated in the duel, and this marks the end of Iruma's first day at school. The next day, Iruma finds himself dreaming about his parents selling him to Sullivan and wakes up terrified. As he gets up, he discovers a super excited Sullivan in his room, bringing him back to his current reality. At the breakfast table, Iruma's remarkable superpower is revealed, which is a big appetite that allows him to eat far more than any human or demon does. Seconds later, Sullivan reminds him that it's his first day of class and presents him with books and a brand new uniform, celebrating his status as his grandson. He even had some embroidery done on a handkerchief, despite not being used to such tasks, and had injured his fingers doing it too. Iruma also receives a rather intimidating alarm clock meant to help him wake up on time. Now, even though Iruma initially planned to tell Sullivan that he wants to return to Earth, he couldn't bring himself to do so and at the end accepts his current situation again. As he leaves for school, Sullivan feels the urge to follow and take a lot of pictures of him, but Opera is thankfully right there to stop him from doing so. At the school gate, the student council president scolds the demon standing there, instructing them to speak in a manner that intimidates others, as they need to behave as demons. Meanwhile, Iruma attempts to navigate the school unnoticed, but Asmodeus, who has been waiting for him for 6 hours and 6 minutes, won't let that happen. He kneels in front of Iruma and asks him to carry his bag, destroying Iruma's plan to remain a little unknown, at least in the school. On their way to class, Asmodeus tells Iruma that they are both in the same group and explains how the groups are formed. The students are divided into 4 groups that will practice together until the classes begin, and today they are conducting the familiar summoning ritual. So, they are not going to the class but to their group and the place where the ritual will be held. Familiar summoning is a ritual at Babyliss where all students have to summon a magical beast who will be their subordinates and assist in battles. This ritual is so important that the students' ranks will be determined by the beast they are able to summon, and these ranks determine their academic success. As they reach the familiar hall, the terrifying teacher, Nibarius, enters and informs them that he is their advisor. He warns that he will expel anyone who fails, specifically glaring at Iruma. Nibarius then brings out a cute board, which he appears to hate. The board explains all about the familiar summoning ritual and how the students have to enter the magic circle with the card sheet and put their blood on it before setting it aflame. The card sheet will bear Nibarius' stamp, and every student's blood, which will determine which beast is summoned. When a student asks if the ceremony is dangerous, Nibarius replies that familiars are subordinates, and if one ever disobeys its master, it will suffer the consequences and be punished. The familiar summoning ritual begins, and every student summons their own familiar. One student summons a cat-like demon, while others summon various types. Asmodeus summons a huge serpent, which is considered the best among all. After Asmodeus' turn, it's time for Iruma to summon his familiar, and everyone gets excited. Since he is a human, he ends up summoning a demon, which turns out to be Nibarius himself, in the shape of a cute fluffy demon bird. Despite this happening due to Iruma being a human, everyone believes it's because of his incredible power. Nibarius doesn't like it, but the contract is already made for a whole year, so Sullivan tells them that nothing can be done. This causes Nibarius to become depressed, while Iruma's popularity spreads even further than before. With everyone focused on Iruma, it becomes hard for him to pass by unnoticed. Of course, Asmodeus won't let that happen anyway, as he tells everyone to make way for Lord Iruma. As they pass through the hallway, they begin to hear loud noises, followed by a loud bang from behind the boxes which are at one corner of the hallway. Suddenly, a girl with green hair emerges from behind them and heads straight for Iruma, then quickly goes back to arranging the boxes within seconds. This leaves both him and Asmodeus shocked and confused about what is happening. Asmodeus informs Iruma that the girl's name is Clara, and she is famous for being a weirdo and clingy, which is why people avoid her. The teacher who arrived to see what was happening sends Clara, Iruma, and Asmodeus away into the garden. There, Clara invites both of them to play with her and introduces them to some of the weirdest games ever. During these games, Clara frequently uses the word please, due to which Iruma finds himself unable to refuse any of her requests. She asks him to be a tree, and Iruma does it, then requests that he become a strong wind, to which Iruma plays along. She even asks him to pretend to be her pet demon dog, and Iruma complies, all the while making Asmodeus embarrassed by what both of them are doing. After a while, unable to resist, Asmodeus joins in, and they play all sorts of strange games that Clara suggests. However, while playing with her, Iruma notices a huge gate, tightly locked up with chains and padlocks. He wonders what might be locked behind it. As they become tired, Clara sits down with them and retrieves a water bottle and snacks from her pocket. Iruma asks her how she can do that, and Clara explains that it's her family's specialty. She can retrieve just about anything she has ever seen from her pockets whenever she wants to. While Clara is explaining this, a group of students appears from behind, calling her name and asking for drinks after patting her head. After they leave, Clara tells Iruma that those students sometimes play with her, and in return, she gives them snacks, which makes them happy. When she shares this with Iruma and tells him about how the students treat her, he realizes that something feels off about it. Moments later, Clara asks Iruma if he will play with her again, and he agrees, making her all happy. The next day, Iruma, Clara, and Asmodeus play together, and after they are done playing, Clara offers them drinks, and that's how their day goes on. Sometime later, after playing with Iruma and Asmodeus, when passing through the hallway, she overhears other students saying that Iruma must be playing with her because he wants some snacks too. As she listens to them, she starts thinking that Iruma was like others too, only playing with her just so he can get some free snacks, but since she desperately needs some friends, she hurries back to where Iruma is sitting and aggressively offers her every snack or gift she can, just so he does not leave her and plays with her for some more time. However, as Iruma refuses to take anything from her, it makes her think that he will leave just like the others did. But that's when Iruma tells her that he will play with her, but she doesn't need to give him snacks or anything in return. This makes her see that Iruma is different from the others because he genuinely befriends her without expecting anything in return. Clara gets so happy after it, and moments later when the students who were previously manipulating her for snacks come near her asking for some treats again, she summons a whole vending machine and lands it onto one of the students' faces so he learns his lesson and never uses her again. Even Asmodeus takes care of the rest of the students, and makes sure they will never bother her again. This makes Clara so happy that she starts throwing slime bag monsters at Asmodeus, and that's how Iruma's cheerful high school life starts, with him making friends and enjoying his time in school. The next day, Asmodeus and Clara are at Iruma's house to go to school with him. As they reach the school, they realize they have no specific plans for the whole day, so they walk straight to the cafeteria. Asmodeus tells Iruma that the demons get options according to their ranks. Unable to decide what to eat, Iruma asks Asmodeus to get something, and some students trying to prank Asmodeus order 50 servings in his name. While Asmodeus is getting angry at the students and is about to ask Iruma to allow him to dispose of some food, he is shocked to see that Iruma has already eaten all 50 servings. This not only leaves him, but all the students shocked to the core. Of course, Iruma doesn't stop at just 50. He eats more and more, even causing the chef to collapse from having to do so much work. He only stops because he had to. While the students are busy looking at the collapsed chef, Clara gets in trouble with the shopkeeper who is selling some snacks and other things. So, Iruma and Asmodeus went to see what trouble Clara has now gotten herself into, and the shopkeeper tells them that Clara is one of the students who are banned from the store because of her ability to summon whatever she sees out of her pockets. The shopkeeper thinks of it as shoplifting and has banned her from even coming near the store. She will be stabbed with a spear if she tries to do it again. To control all the fuss that the students have been creating, Nibirius enters the cafeteria and, as he sees Iruma, suddenly recalls everything that happened to him during the familiar summoning ritual. Of course, this makes him mad at Iruma again, as he shifts his attention from Iruma to Clara, who turns out to be exactly the type of person Nibirius hates the most. Clara won't let him go so easily and asks him if he is Iruma's familiar. Seconds later, she asks Iruma to grab the sticker he was standing next to from the store, then stick it on his hand, and put his hands up, and this results in Nibirius turning into the devil fluffy bird familiar. Now, Nibirius is mad and yelling at Iruma while the shopkeeper is trying to catch these shoplifters considering they took the familiar summoning sticker. Now Iruma, Asmodeus, and Clara manage to run away, and the shopkeeper ends up catching Nibirius. Away from all this, where these three troublemakers are resting, Clara takes ice creams out of her pocket and gives them one each. Overwhelmed with the love he is receiving, Iruma asks them to please be their friends. But of course, friends are a concept only in the human world, and demons do not know about it. So Iruma explains to them that friends are people who do cool stuff together, and tell each other things that are really important to each other. This makes them both happy, although they argue about who is friend number 1 and who is friend number 2. On the other hand, classes of students are being decided at school, and Sullivan places Iruma, Asmodeus, and Clara in the unfit class together. The next day, he tells Iruma about his class too. And when Iruma is on his way to school with his friends, he tells Asmodeus about the class and is relieved when Asmodeus replies that any class where he is with Iruma is automatically the best class. Asmodeus then asks Iruma why he prefers to walk on foot to school instead of flying like other demons. That's when Iruma gets to know that all demons can fly, and he finds himself unable to answer Asmodeus. But then Asmodeus himself presumes that it might be because Iruma is trying to exercise and strengthen his legs. Moments later, as they reach the school and see what class they are in, they enter the first-year tower trying to find where their class is. When a lightning arrow appears in front of them, thinking the arrow will guide them, They start following it and get to see different kinds of students and classes on their way. On their way to finding their class, they pass by different classes and students. And following the arrow, they are directed out of the tower and into a cave. They go deeper and deeper into the cave, with Clara so excited and Asmodeus contemplating all kinds of possibilities. At last, they reach a huge gate, and as soon as Iruma opens the gate, he is welcomed with all kinds of booby traps. However, since he is Iruma, who can dodge everything with his famous overwhelming crisis evasion capability, he dodges every single thing that comes towards him. He might have absolutely no attack power, but he is a pro at dodging things. That's when we get to know that the students actually had bets going on about how many times any student would be able to dodge them before getting hit. It appears that Iruma was the one who dodged all of them, but there was also a student who actually managed to get hit by all of them too. That student is the great Sabnak, the one who was trying to defeat a teacher on the very first day so he can be popular and better than others. According to him, he will never be so cowardly as to dodge the arrows, and all because he wants to prove to others that he is strong enough to be the Demon King. The Demon King is the monarch who rules over the Netherworld. However, the Demon King's throne has been empty for quite some time, and now Sabnak wants to climb up the ranks and ultimately be the strongest of all to become the Demon King and rule them all. There are 10 known ranks of the demons, the highest of which is Yun, and the Demon King is selected from the top-ranked demons. So, the rankings within the class are significant, as they determine the strength of the demons and who has the potential to ascend to the role of Demon King. Sabnak gets angry with Iruma when he learns that Iruma does not know much about the rankings and isn't really impressed by them at all. To save his lord, Asmodeus steps in, and the conversation diverts from Iruma to Asmodeus and his familiar. To this, Sabnak comments that since his familiar has more legs than Asmodeus' familiar, he will win, of course. That leaves an angry Asmodeus saying, "What kind of reasoning is that?" And while all this is happening, Clara is rather busy being impressed by how huge Sabnak is and is trying to measure his height in her own ways. Sabnak, however, tells Asmodeus that he no longer qualifies as his rival since he has become Iruma's slave. Asmodeus flexes in front of everyone, stating that he is not Iruma's slave but his friend, and then proceeds to tell them all what a friend is. But as his powerful definition of a friend is about to enlighten others, Nibirius enters the class and tells them that due to a certain somebody, he got a bad reputation and was appointed as a teacher for the unfit class. After taking attendance, Nibirius informs the students that they must participate in a test to determine their rankings. He brings out the cute cardboard, which he so hates, to explain the details of the test, and then smashes it on the ground as soon as he's finished with the information and asks the students to get ready. The test involves a race where students must fly to a designated endpoint and claim a flag. It's a competitive event that showcases the flying abilities of the demons. Whoever reaches there first will get the highest ranking and others will get their ranks too. While Nibirius is telling the students about it, Sabnak tells them how he has other plans, which involve going through the valley, a shortcut. Nibirius replies that this year they can't take that route because the Guardian of the Valley has been in a bad mood lately. The Guardian is an enormous beast that rules the area, and since they can't guarantee the safety of the students, it is strictly off limits. Moments later, when the race begins, Iruma encounters a significant problem: he can't fly. While Iruma is standing on the edge of the cliff thinking what can he do about it, Nibirius comes in to push him over the cliff thinking he was just being lazy and not starting the race on purpose. After pushing Iruma down, Nibirius sits down on a side to check on what the students are up to. And of course, the students, being the misfits, are doing everything they should not. Some students stole a demon bird's egg and were attacked by the birds. Asmodeus, who is busy fighting off the demon flowers, suddenly realizes that Clara has been clinging onto him since the start of the race. Both of them get in trouble with the demon flowers as now Asmodeus not only has to save himself but also Clara, who is doing nothing to help and is only getting in trouble. Sabnak, as expected, takes the forbidden route. He soon comes in front of a scary demon bird with glowing red eyes. Surprisingly, he doesn't notice the demon bird's presence and remains unaware of the trouble he's in. He flies past the bird, but the bird quickly gets up and starts following him, clearly very angry. Iruma, being Iruma, is carried away by a demon crow. After being pushed off the cliff, he was caught by some curious demon crows while he was falling, and now they see him as a snack. However, a loud sound from a direction makes the crows panic, and Iruma falls from their beak, landing in the demon bird's nest. As he looks up, he knows he is in very real danger. What do you think will happen next? Will Iruma be able to get out of the demon's bird's nest safely? Or will it be the end of his netherworld journey? Let us know in the comments if you want to watch the next part of it. Meet you in the next episode of Demon School and Iruma-kun.